Charles Dickens was a prolific and highly influential 19th-century British author who penned such acclaimed works as Oliver Twist, A Christmas Carol, David Copperfield, and Great Expansions. Charles Dickens, February 7, 1812 to June 9, 1870, was a British novelist, journalist, editor, illustrator, and social commentator who wrote such beloved classic novels as Oliver Twist, A Christmas Carol, Nicholas Nickleby, David Copperfield, A Tale of Two Cities, and Great Expansions. Dickens is remembered as one of the most important and influential writers of the 19th century. Among his accomplishments, he has been lauded for providing a stark portrait of the Victorian era underclass, helping to bring about social change. When Dickens died of a stroke, he left his final novel, The Master of Even, unfinished. Charles Dickens is much loved for his great contribution to classic English literature. He was the quintessential Victorian author. His epic stories, vivid characters, and exquisite depiction of contemporary life are unforgettable. His own story is one of rags to riches. He was born in Portsmouth on 7 February 1812 to John and Elizabeth Dickens. The good fortune of being sent to school at the age of 9 was short-lived because his father, inspiration for the character of Mr. Micawber in David Copperfield, was imprisoned for bad debt. The entire family, apart from Charles, were sent to Marshallia along with their patriarch. Charles was sent to work in Vernon's blacking factory and endured appalling conditions as well as illness and despair. After 3 years, he was returned to school, but the experience was never forgotten and became fictionalized in two of his better-known novels, David Copperfield and Great Expansions. Like many others, he began his literary career as a journalist. His own father became a reporter and George began with the journalist, the Member of Parliament, and the Teresa. Then in 1833, he became parliamentary journalist for the Morning Chronicle. With new contacts in the press, he was able to publish a series of sketches under the pseudonym Bowles. In April 1836, he married Catherine Houghton, daughter of John Hort, who edited sketches by Bowles. Within the same month came the publication of highly successful Pickwick Papers, and from that point on there was no looking back for Dickens. As well as a huge list of novels, he published autobiography, edited weekly periodicals including Household Words and All Year Round, wrote travel books, and administered charitable organizations. He was also a theater enthusiast, wrote plays, and performed before Queen Victoria in 1851. His energy was inexhaustible, and he spent much time abroad. For example, lecturing against slavery in the United States and touring Italy with companions, August Egg and Virgil Lawrence, contemporary writer who inspired Dickens' final unfinished novel, The Mystery of Edwin Drood. He was estranged from his wife in 1858 after the birth of their 10 children, but maintained relations with his mistress, the actress Ellen Ternan. He died of a stroke in 1870. He is buried at Westminster Abbey. Charles Dickens was a prolific and highly influential 19th century British author who penned such acclaimed work as Oliver Twist, A Christmas Carol, David Copperfield, and Great Expansions. Charles Dickens, February 7, 1812 to June 9, 1870, was a British novelist, journalist, editor, illustrator, and social commentator who wrote such beloved classic novels as Oliver Twist, A Christmas Carol, Nicholas Nickleby, David Copperfield, A Tale of Two Cities, and Great Expansions. Dickens is remembered one of the most important and influential writers of the 19th century. Among his accomplishments, he has been lauded for providing a stark portrait of the Victorian era underclass, helping to bring about social change. When Dickens died of a stroke, he left his final novel, The Ministry of Edwin Drood, unfinished. Charles Dickens is much loved for his great contribution to classic English literature. He was a influential Victorian author. His epic stories, vivid characters, and executive depiction of contemporary life are unforgettable. His own story is one of rags to riches. He was born in Portsmouth on 7 February 1812 to John and Elizabeth Dickens. The good fortune of being sent to school at the age of 9 was short-lived because his father, inspiration for the character of Mr. Micawber in David Copperfield, was imprisoned for bad debt. The entire family, apart from Charles, were sent to Marshallia along with their patriarch. Charles was sent to work in various blacking luxury and endured appalling conditions as well as loneliness and disappears. After 3 years, he was returned to school, but the experience was never forgotten and became fictionalized in two of his better-known novels, David Copperfield and Great Expansions. Like many others, he began his literary career as a journalist. His own father became a reporter and Charles began with the journalists, the Mirror of Parliament and the True Sun. Then in 1833, he became parliamentary journalist for the Morning Chronicle. With new contacts in the press, he was able to publish a series of sketches under the pseudonym Boz. In April 1836, he married Catherine Hort, daughter of George Hort, who edited sketch Bibles. Within the same month came the publication of the highly successful Pickwick Papers, and from that point on there was no looking back for Dickens. As well as a huge list of novels, he published autobiography, Addicted, weekly periodical, including Household Words and All Year Round, wrote travel books, and administered charitable organizations. He was also a theater enthusiast. He wrote plays and performed before Queen Victory in 1851. His energy was inexhaustible and he spent much time abroad. For example, lecturing against slavery in the United States and touring Italy with conventions. Otis Egg and Wilkie Collins, a contemporary writer who inspired Dickens' final unfinished novel, The Mystery of Edwin Drood. He was estranged from his wife in 1858 after the birth of their 10 children, but maintained relations with his mistress, the actress Ellen Ternan. He died of a stroke in 1870. His birth of Administer Abbey.